However, we start with other motoring issues as we visit the annual AutoAfrica exhibition where Sasol made a huge impression.
Everything under the automotive sun for young and old alike at the AutoAfrica show, Nasrec near Soweto. Some very smart cars and some very smart technology off the road and on the road. And Sasol was there. While the thousands of people attending could get a sneak peek at some of the new technology mechanisms in process and bits of this and bits of that, including robotics. Together with the likes of new braking systems, fast rubber, smart mags, and some of the older cars, Sasol decided to put on its technology display in grand style at the award-winning technology stand to show to the public the advantages of our new fuel products, Sasol Dual Fuel and Sasol Turbo Diesel. Manned throughout the course of the show with some great incentives for folk to come along and win. Not too far from the stand, while they mingled around, was the Sasol 4x4 Fun Zone, specifically designed for Sasol to show off the advantages of our new Sasol Turbo Diesel. No fewer than 8 motor manufacturers displayed their wares as members of the public were allowed to go for a ride, sometimes a rough ride, but not too dicey. During the course of the show, no fewer than 8,000 people had the opportunity, the experience and the thrill of driving the new product on display. And of course, they were all powered on Sasol Dual Fuel or Sasol Turbo Diesel. With tons of other aerial displays and activities on the go, and of course there needed to be a bit of mud to make sure it's not a Santon 4x4 but a real off-road. Speaking of pucker 4x4s, just adjacent to the Sasol Fun Zone was this year's Sasol Mini-Bhaja competition, competed for by over 19 universities and technicons from around the country and the world. Richard Hughes, Sasol's sponsorship manager, elaborates.
This year's Mini-Bhaja is different from previous years in that the tests were done out at Gerotech yesterday. All the traction, the pulling the jeeps, the climbing the hills and all those maneuverability. But today at AutoAfrica gives the opportunity to show these vehicles to a larger audience. There's hundreds of thousands of people come through to AutoAfrica. We have a huge turnout of university and technicon students, great vehicles, a lot of mud and great fun is had by all. You wouldn't think to take a look at it, but it's really to see if mechanical engineering students can design, build a vehicle that will last not only under these conditions but also complete those tests out at Gerotech. So it's really mechanical engineering at its best.
The Sasol Mini-Bhaja competition has grown from a 4-team contest when it was started in South Africa at Pretoria University in 1996. This year, 35 cars took part, some institutions entering as many as 4 space-frame vehicles. With most of the technical inspections and evaluations completed on the Friday and during the course of the morning, most of the Saturday was down to the real hard, rough racing amongst the enthusiastic competitors, supported by a huge crowd at AutoAfrica. Mud, close wheel-to-wheel racing, and a lot more was the order of the day, often not knowing where one was going, coming out of the deep muddy holes that elephants would have endured to roll and relish in. But the competition was going to be very strong for the South Africans because the American team were really the ones on par for a second championship win in a year. The American team had some very, very advanced technology, including Penske shock absorbers used in American racing on ovals. But it all came down to the wire. Endurance. Who could last? Who could endure the most laps on the very, very tight circuit at AutoAfrica? Time was all important, but the most important factor was surviving all the way through to the checkered flag.
This year around, the overseas team is doing well. They of course did that last year, but they come from a great advantage. They spend large amounts of money on their vehicle. but our teams are doing very well. There was a huge gap between them last year. This year they're not so far behind. Next 10 minutes we'll know what the result is.
Well, officially the undisputed champions for the second year in a row, the Rochester Institute of Technology from California in America. South African teams doing very well. Lots to smile about when it came to the silverware, together with a nice large check, which will stand them in good stead for next year's competition.
We wouldn't be here without the support of our school. They're the biggest supporter we have. They fund our trips.
We spend many hours in our shop designing our car, machining, and fabricating it.
When we first got here, we went and we saw the animals and the typical things of Africa before coming and seeing the real Africa, you know, the people. And they've been wonderful for us. So it's been a great experience and hope to come back again next year.
The saying mud, sweat and tears comes to mind after watching that insert.